From the beautiful and historic campus of Heritage International Ministries in Fort Mill, South Carolina, home of MorningStar Fellowship Church, Heritage International Conference Center, and MorningStar University, we bring you Prophetic Perspectives on Current Events with Rick Joyner. Now let's join Rick for insights and analysis on the important events and issues of our times.
Welcome to Prophetic Perspectives on Current Events, and we got a couple of special guests with us today, Bob and Kathy Campbell. And where are you from? What are you doing? What are you doing here? We're having an MFC retreat, MorningStar Fellowship of Churches and Ministries, and you guys have been really stirring up some things. You know, I hear about you, and you know, really some great things going on. But give us a little background, who you are. We try our people, know those who are laboring among you. Know, so tell us, how'd you get into this?
You want to go?
Go ahead.
We pastor a church in upstate New York, just south of Rochester in Geneseo. It's a college town. We've been there since '93. And we also have a ministry called Ignited Ministry, where we travel translocally. We do a similar to a School of Spirit beyond in Newburgh, which is just north of New York City. And then we do one in Geneseo, where we have teaching, prophetic ministry, and we're also getting ready to launch a few more of those. And then we also have recently moved down to the D.C. area and at the Lord's leading and in obedience to some prophetic words that we've gotten and some confirmation. And we position ourselves there and looking for opportunities to minister and be an influence in that particular region of the country.
So are you ministering to government people in Washington?
Well, we're waiting for some of those opportunities. We've met with some military folks. We really didn't know anybody down there, but we felt the Lord, kind of like Abraham, told us where to go, and we've been waiting there. And since we've been down there, actually, New York has opened up a little bit more for us. We're going to be launching some things in Syracuse, and then also just north of Albany, where we do our have been doing our yearly prophetic conference, and then New York City, looking for some of those regions to open up too. And so we've asked ourselves, why are we in Northern Virginia, the D.C. region? But we just feel like God's getting ready to open up some things, and so we've just positioned ourselves there, living in. So Kathy spends a lot of her time down there, and we commute back and forth to the between New York and D.C.
Yeah, it's quite a commute.
Yeah,
especially this time of year coming up. But
thinking maybe I need to get a plane and start flying like you do.
Yeah.
So maybe you could tell some of the stuff that you've been doing.
Well, we do a lot of ministry with churches, and I travel, it seems like in recent days, a lot up into New York with different churches.
New York State, upstate New York, mostly.
Yeah, upstate, mostly upstate. And then, like a couple of weeks ago, I was up in Newburgh, and we did a homeless dinner with a church up there, help serve, and so we like to just come alongside the churches and pastors, and God has blessed us with favor with pastors. We've really found great relationships with them.
Yeah, we had quite a few turn out our little thing up there a few weeks ago, didn't we?
We really did.
It was a good turnout, and a high percentage of pastors that attended that.
Yeah.
So as we're starting to launch out in some of those other areas, I believe it'll just increase. So what we do is we come into an area, we'll host that type of meeting, but we'll be the ones that organize it and meet in a either a rented or donated facility, which could be a church. But none of the other pastors feel threatened by that because we're not in there trying to build our thing. We're just trying to be an encouragement to them. And I think that's what kind of breaks down some of the walls and some of the barriers. And it's been an incredible time there. But it's opened up other opportunities, and they've gotten a little bit creative with some of the prophetic ministry. Which recently they did. They advertised Kathy coming in as a proven seer, and they
tell us what you've been seeing.
I've been seeing.
No, let me finish your thought.
No, that's good. That's good.
Hold that. Yeah.
Well, I think just in recent days, I have really been going back to 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people, and understanding that that is being offered to the church. And so there is hope for America, and there's hope for our land and our families and our schools and our government, but it's if my people. And so that's really the message that I kind of bring out. But you know, the church that advertised me as a proven seer invited me to go to the Oneida Casino and do spiritual readings or prophetic ministry there, and then the rest of the weekend was with the church. And a lot of folks came that didn't know the Lord, and we ministered to them, and it was a really powerful weekend. A different way to do, you know, have a guest in, but it worked.
That's great, and that's one of the things we talked about in one of our previous programs, you know, how we have found such a harvest field, sending prophetically gifted people into even New Age. We've had some people go out to the Burning Man thing, and, you know, but go out to set up booths for spiritual readings, which is, it sounds like a New Age term, and it is. New Agers use that, but we use it because it's their language. It's like to speak to Christians, you got to use biblical, you know, Christianese or whatever, or they get upset. Well, out there, that's a familiar term. They come in. We've had so many meet the Lord that way. And to get invited into a casino, I know there are a lot of Christians that, oh, this is terrible. What are you doing going into one of those places? Jesus would have gone in to reach them.
Exactly.
He did that. Jesus did that. And I, you know, he came to give us an example of his heart for people. And he said, these kind of people are going to make it to the kingdom before you religious people are.
That's right.
And, but how so many are so desperate. They know they're sinners.
Yes, they do.
And they respond to the Lord so fast, but especially when there's evidence through a word of knowledge of something that God knows them personally. Boy, it breaks the barriers down.
And he's always so encouraging. Thinks so highly of us. And in fact, one of the guys that was in the meeting that wasn't a believer that she ministered to called the guy that invited him and said, I cannot shake that word. It just keeps resounding in my ear about, you know, God really caring about him. And so they're seeing some of these friends come back in, you know, to the church and that too. You should tell them about the, we have what's called Geneseo Days. One year we had a tent out there that had signs said free spiritual readings and dream interpretation, and you should tell them some of the people that came through. I
had a couple psychics come in that said, well, I just want to know what you do and what it's like. And by the end, the one psychic just hugged me and wouldn't let go for a long time. She said, I don't know what's on you, but I want what's on you. She said, it's different than what I have. And she began to see a difference. But I've had so many of even just the psychics themselves come in and begin to experience God and know that God is real. And so we haven't seen, like, you know, salvations after, but I believe it's always a process that people are in. It's a journey.
You can sow the seeds and get them thinking. Right time, they'll come in. Listen, we'll be right back with Bob and Kathy Campbell.